Hello. Shalom and salutations. Let's see if we can get this rolling. I'm gonna turn the music down just a tish bit. Let's also put the order of operations. Let's turn the music down first, and then we're gonna go to the Canva and make that a page. There you go. That gives additional information instead of just duplicates of the same thing. And then now I think we are in between songs, which is not useful. Yeah, music's coming out of headphones. We're doing it's there. I think this is good. I think we're doing it. Lighting's gonna be a fun experiment for a little bit. Hopefully lighting can at least start to get better. Especially because I won't have this big ass door behind me anymore. This big ass door with a big ass window right behind it. It's gonna be great. We're gonna do things. Things are gonna happen. But salutations, friends. My name is Brianna Sikio Levant, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar, and welcome to this here. See that door? That door causes a lot of lighting issues. This is going to be my stream reviewing things I'll never say. This is also going to be try not to have an emotional breakdown challenge because oh my god, this book just hits for me. Let's start off with my little spiel on the book itself. I did give the spiel on a little TikTok a while ago, but we're gonna do it again so that way we all are on the same page when it comes to how emotionally distraught I am by this book. Or should I do a description? Let's do a description first so you have any idea what I'm talking about. So the book, Things I'll Never Say. I'm a disaster of a human being and it's great. We have our main character, Casey. She is a year out. The book takes place a year away from the death of her twin brother due to overdose. And the big issue, the inciting issue of the story is that she is currently in love with both of their best friends. So they have a little quadruplet of best friends, and she's been in love with Ben, but now she's also in love with the other friend in the group, Frankie, and she doesn't know what to do about it. But more so, it's of course there's the issue of there's this highly emotional, kind of complicated situation that she's in, and that is a part of the issue of the book. But more so, the issue is that she is having this big, nerve-wracking, potentially completely life-altering situation, and her brother isn't there to help her figure out how to get through it. And that is something that she always would have expected him to be there for. She's also going through her high school graduation. That's another thing that is very apparent that he's not there to do with her. They would have been called just right after the other, and he is not there. And so that is a big thing of the book, is that she's going through this, and he was supposed to be there to give her advice and to help her figure out what to do, how to help her work her way through this, but he's not. And that's also how we get the format of the novel. The novel is epistolary. There's an actual word for it. I don't know the word, but it is a novel told in the form of journals. And so you have Casey writing letters in this journal to her brother, and she's also writing poetry and prose and just thinking aloud in this journal. Another key aspect of the story is that her grandfather dies, and she and her immediate family fly away for the month for the funeral. And this does two things for us. It leaves her with a lot of thinking time to really work through how she feels about being in love with her two best friends. We get her grandmother, who is really like pushing her to like try a poly relationship, and we love grandma for that. And alongside that, we also get we also do get her being reconfronted with grief, because now she is not only dealing with the death of another really important family member, but she's also re-entered into that setting. What I mean by that is she's re-entered into the situation where her parents have to kind of try and put on a strong face for her, because they want to be there for her when she needs them. But she also has her grandmother, who is in a way looking to her for how to get through this, how to navigate the situation, because Casey lost a very close person to her before her grandmother did, and so she has more of that experience. And all of this also brings back into frame Casey's own struggles with drug abuse post, and like how it is discussed is she did abuse drugs right after her brother died, initially just to see what all the hubbub was about. Was it really worth it? And then once it's like she started feeling the effects of it, she would lean to those when she was having really, really bad episodes of grief and trauma. And so going back into the situation with the death of her grandfather put her back into a place where she more readily, because again, the book takes place a year after the initial aspects of the book happen, or a year, lies, straight lying to you. The book takes place a year after the death of her brother. And so she's not in that initial acute pain. And so she doesn't need and lean on these drugs as much as she did in that time. But we do have this funeral, this other death, that is a means of putting her back there and showing what it was like for her and why she would lean towards these forms of self-medication. And so we do get to see that while still maintaining the aspect of the story with regards to like the core of it. And we'll get into this more in a second, but the core of the story is like, how do you move on? But we do get to see her in that situation of relative, like, acute pain without losing the context of she's trying to exist beyond her grief and continue living her life without feeling like she's going to lose these people, or she's letting them down by living without them. Okay, now we'll read the super emotional shenanigans that I wrote. It's like a warm hug. That was the feeling I got the whole time reading, and it took me a while to really think of why and how to explain this feeling. When I say that this book is like a hug, it's like a day where you're crying, upset, and struggling, and then someone comes over to hold you in their arms and tell you, I know how you feel. They tell you their story, and naturally, everything's not the same, but there's enough to make you feel like you're not alone. They tell you the things that you need to hear. They tell you things that make you know that you're not crazy, not a piece of shit, not broken, and that your feelings are valid. And they're not just saying those things to you, but they're showing you how they got put in a place where they felt those things. And that helps you to see how natural what you're going through is. And it took me until a little bit after I finished the book to realize like how much I needed this book at this time, and it like severely impacted me. I definitely cried a lot through the book, but the tears I were crying were such a relief. It was very cathartic to cry those tears as I was reading, and it was definitely very very like impactful for me, because not only did I go through some of the things that Casey goes through in the books, deal with some of the struggles she deals with in the books, some in very similar ways, some in other ways that are tangential but like the same core struggle, but I also very much relate to the format of the book and like some of my like worst struggles as a human being. I was writing letters to someone that was supposed to be there for me, and I was also writing a ton of poetry at that time, and so this book really hit home for me. But even with the parts of the story that I could not relate to, Casey is written as such a real person by the author. Like, she feels so real that you're just in the story with her. You feel with her. You feel like you are there every single moment, even though the book itself is supposed to feel out of time with the events, because it's supposed to be her writing in a journal. You feel like she is telling you these things, and as she's telling you, you feel like you're there, and it is just so well written. Also, a thing, I've said it before, love a bit of a jackass. Casey is so sassy in this book, and I love that. Like, there'll be times where she'll say something along the lines of, like, to her brother Sammy, be like, hey, Sammy, by the way, I won that bet. I don't know what angel you're going to have to call to get me my $20, but you're going to figure it out. Like, dying doesn't get you out of it. Like, I love that kind of attitude and the sass and, like, the humor that she still has throughout this book. Even if it is, like, even from her own perspective, it is for, like, her, like, explicitly joking to potentially the ghost of her brother, who may not, the reason they write the notebooks is to write in the notebook and then burn it, and hopefully, and it'll not only help to relieve some of the feelings you had while you were writing, the feelings you had that before you wrote, help that get all that out, but also maybe the words will find their way to him up in the heavens. And she's like, you know what? I've got the pages. I remember this money. It's so fun to see her still like have that humor in the grief, and I absolutely love it. But as I was saying earlier, the core of this story is grief, and like the core, like, yes, there's a romance, but the romance itself is more of a vehicle for the concept of grief and the discussions of moving on after you've lost someone super important to you, because she's having these moments he was supposed to be there for. How does she live her life without his support, without his presence? There are even points where she has to like come to terms with the fact that he would have been leaving her at this point in time anyway, because in his grand scheme of plan, after graduating high school, he was going to go move off to another state without her. And so there are also points of like her being angry that she feels like she would have lost him anyway, feeling angry with him because of that. But also now she has to figure out, she's understanding maybe it was because they were twins and he wanted to feel like he could be himself, but now she's forced to be by herself. There's so much discussion of her feelings, having lost like her brother, her best friend, her, like, the person that has literally always been there for her. They are twins, And now she is on her own. And like, there's so much discussion of that and how hard it is for her to process this entire experience and how hard it is for her to picture moving on and what life is supposed to be like without him, without the guilt of feeling like she left him behind. And like, there's so many aspects of that, and because the book takes place over a year, you get so many, hello, there's a cat staring at me, you get so many of these different moments where it really hits the character that she has to move on without him. She does not have a choice. Like, their birthday hits, it's a year later, their birthday hits, and now she has to mentally come to terms with the fact that she is older than he ever is going to be. That is a really, really, it's with, and it's also, they are twins. It is a very, very like complex situation of all of these big experiences that she was expecting to go through with him, but also things she was expecting him to be there to help her through. And her navigating both the fact that she just has to be able to find a way to live her life without him now, and dealing with the emotions that come with that entire process. I truly, the discussions on grief in this book are so phenomenally done. I highly recommend it. It came out earlier this week. It came out on the 6th. So it is available to purchase. Absolutely strongly recommend. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Truly a phenomenal book. And it's queer. Pride. But yeah, that's all I have to say on the book. Again, I could not recommend this story more. It was so well done. That's all I have to say on it for now. Thank you so much for watching it, and until next time, valedictions, friends.